Oh, by changing the shape of your window, you can change the whole layout. But I don't know. I mean, mine's just black around the outside, which is what it always is.
By changing your outlook on life.
Yeah. Change your outlook, change your life.
Change your reality. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Tell Me Where I'm Going Wrong. This is a podcast where two exes who are still really good friends talk about politics, gun violence, radicalization in the political atmosphere, and lots of other things. Pop culture, Lady Gaga, Dracula. I'm Sean, and that's Josh. How are you, Josh?
Hi, Sean. I'm doing well, thank you. I'm still on a high from the open mic last night, which was a lot of fun. Always.
Why was good? What was good about it?
It was just a great vibe.
Maybe explain to people what you're talking about when you say the open mic.
Well, so Sean and I run a monthly event here in London. It's at the Cock Tavern in Kennington, and it's the Queer Open Mic. So about just over 3 years ago now, I was saying to Sean, as an emerging queer artist, I was. Don't snort.
Well, no, I'm thinking an emerging queer or an emerging artist. Which part was the
emerging artist? Emerging artist.
Emerging artist, long time queer,
ancient queer, newly emerging as an artist.
Justified and ancient.
I was saying, it's intimidating to get up in front of a room full of people you don't know and sing songs, and that's intimidating, I think, for anyone. But then add onto that a layer of, potential queer phobia or homophobia. And I was saying, I think, London needs to have a queer open mic event. I couldn't believe there wasn't one. And so, yeah, we started it 3 years ago, and it's gone from strength to strength. And now we're in the Cock, which is a queer venue in London. And it just feels like it's just the perfect place to have an event like that. The event seems to be going from strength to strength. Last night was a great crowd. We had some great performers. And it was just, people seem to really...
Would you say it feels like the event is going from strength to strength?
Why
it's just
have I said
you've
that?
said it twice.
Have I?
Yeah.
How very unlike me to repeat myself.
It reminds me of a video I was watching the other day of, I think it was Bob the Drag Queen or somebody in Peppermint or somebody, and somebody was saying, but is it fashion? Like they were talking about different people's outfits, and every person they would look at their photo, they would say, but is it fashion? And it was so funny, but just you saying it's going from strength to strength twice in the space of 60 seconds made me giggle.
Strong and stable. What was the? Who was the? Which British Prime Minister was it that kept using that over and over? Strong and stable. Was that Theresa May
or Liz Truss? Who knows?
I don't know. Anyway,
the head of lettuce.
Anyway, it was a great event. I mean, it wasn't without its stresses because Sean generally tends to stay behind the scenes doing the sound, and
if anybody could see me doing quotation marks, doing sound, yeah. I am not a sound engineer.
All right, but I refer to Sean as like the Wizard of Oz behind the golden curtain because he stays hidden out of sight, which is exactly where he wants to be.
But I'll tell you one problem I have. Right, anyone who knows me,
just one.
I'll tell you one of the problems I have.
All right.
Everybody who knows me personally knows that I shake. Okay, like my hands tremble. I have a tremble.
I thought that was just a Gaga thing.
What do you mean? How's that?
I thought you were doing the dead dance or something.
No. You know that I don't need to tell you. You've known me a long time. I tremble and I shake. And maybe sometimes when I'm tired, it happens more. I don't know what it is. It's been ever since I was a little kid. I don't know if there's a term for it or I don't know. What didn't Jill Sobule have a trembling thing? Do you remember what it was called?
Yeah,
her condition?
I can't remember the actual medical name for it. No, and she had a procedure done where she had like a little electro chip, I suppose, inserted into her brain, which helped sort of kickstart the neurons in that part of the brain, and I think it helped.
So when I'm working on the iPad and doing the sound, and I have to change between somebody's got a backing track, or I have to go back to the playlist that we're playing.
Mhm.
For me to tap on a this sounds unbelievable, but it's true. For me to tap play or pause on things, sometimes I double tap by accident because of my tremble. And
Mhm.
it's not super stressful for me, but it feels stressful in a little way that,
Mm.
and I've done it a few times where I've accidentally restarted somebody's track after they finished because I've gone to press done, but
Mm.
I've accidentally hit the play button again, or gone to hit pause and I've hit play twice, or and
Yeah.
so that's why we get a few mishaps. Some of the mishaps are not related to my tremble, like some of them are
Well, no, I
faulty
was gonna say,
equipment.
like, the main source of stress last night was that when we got there and were doing the setup, we couldn't get the sound to come through the house system, and anyway, after much toing and froing, it turns out that the cable connecting to the mixing desk was broken, which is why it wasn't working, so but anyway,
That
despite but
fucking cable was gaslighting me, because you know where you think, like, there must be something that I don't know because I don't know
yeah.
about this equipment, and then it turns out, and I was thinking, "No, I know that it's all right. I've done
Mhm.
it all the same way,
Yeah.
even though I don't know the
Yeah.
terms for it," and then it turned out to be the cable was broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, despite that, it went, I think, from, strength to strength, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was really great fun. Well, I mean, what's nice about it, even though it's stressful for me,
Mhm.
and I suppose I'm not really involved in much, like, I'm behind the curtain the whole time, so I'm not even interacting with people. I
Mhm.
can pop out now and then,
Mhm.
but it makes me feel really happy that there's an event that is supportive of queer artists and performers. It's a community event. You know, in a world that is so designed to separate people and to isolate
Mhm.
people and to strip every bit amount of money from people, it's nice that this is a free event for people to come to and
Yeah.
to feel celebrated with their
Yeah.
creativity and their queerness. I really like it, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a little stressful because I'm also not great in, you know, when there's something needs to be done, like, and
Mhm.
there's something relying, like, if I don't press play correctly and somebody's standing on stage waiting, I feel a little, well, I'm responsible for it, but I feel bad about it if things go wrong.
Yeah. I wouldn't feel too bad, I mean, people have the option of bringing a device and plugging in and controlling their own backing tracks, and I would always encourage that,
Is there a
and
way we can make people do that?
well, I don't think we can force people to do that. Some people don't have a device with an auxiliary output.
Yeah.
Um,
One thing that this is just on my desk from last night. This is the card from Bren.
oh yeah, yeah.
Bren gave me. Bren was one of the performers, and it just made me think. One of the things I also like about the night is that it's all ages.
Mm.
So we have people who are quite young. Bren is in his 60s, he told me.
Is he?
And
Okay.
yeah, and actually, I said to him, "Oh, you and I are the same age," and he was like, "No, I think I'm older than you."
Mm.
And I was like, "Oh, well, you don't look 10 years older than me or 12 years older
Yeah.
than me or whatever he was." But his music was really sweet. If anybody wants to listen to his singer-songwriter stylings, you can go to Bren, Bren, Riley, music.com.
Okay. Yeah, he just sent me a message actually, said it was a really nice event and he really enjoyed meeting you and me and he's gonna be coming back every month. So yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's
good.
great.
Yeah.
I wish there was another way we could expand. I mean, I'm not going to say not everybody's great, but the people who, the people who this is something that they really dedicate themselves to, like
Mm.
Sky and Blake and Bren and you and
Mm.
Manny, people who actually are trying to make
Right. Not just
something.
people who like, just don't mind getting up in front of an
Yeah,
audience now and then and strumming out a song on the guitar or something.
yeah. I
Or
wonder if there was a
yeah,
way, like, if we started like a radio station, or maybe, like, because I make a playlist for music that I play in between the acts. I
yeah.
wonder if we could make a playlist of the Queer Open Mic London playlist on Spotify or other platforms where we
Yeah.
add people's music and then we keep expanding it or changing the order around just to keep it refreshed. Maybe we
Yeah.
need to do something more with it than just it be that one event.
Yeah. I mean, what this is veering off on a slight tangent, but it is related. Um, last week's episode, we were talking a lot. Or, hang on, was it last week's or was it the week before? We were talking a lot about sort of the state of capitalism and how it's destroying the world. Basically, I think
And
it was last week's episode.
And
I mean, that's
class
that.
warfare.
I mean, that's every episode, but particularly last week's episode. But I went and listened to that episode of What the Fuck is Going On, with the 2-part episode with
Oh,
Ash Sarkar,
oh yeah, yeah,
and that was interesting. And like Ash mentioned something in it, and she talked about the Belgian Workers' Party, and she talked about the Democratic Socialists of America, and she talked about how more so in relation to the Workers' Party of Belgium, whatever they're called, um, about how what she was saying was that people expect politicians to do it all for them. Like
hmm
that when Jeremy Corbyn was elected leader of the Labour Party, um, people were just waiting for him to get elected as prime minister
yes,
and he would fix everything. And she was like, no. Well, I mean, that didn't happen anyway, but you can't just wait for politicians to fix everything. Right? And she was talking about, those political parties that I mentioned, how they were just like, we're just going to do the things and then get elected.
yeah,
So like they were setting up like the Belgian party that I mentioned, they were setting up, like health centers. And I assume they were funding them with like donations and getting
yeah.
volunteers to work in them and
Well,
stuff like
it's
that.
it's really
And so,
similar to what we were saying about how unions you
yeah.
would be part of the communities and like yeah, set up like youth centers and
Mm.
food banks and outreach and all sorts of things, medical intervention groups for the workers co-ops and buying co-ops. Yeah, all of
Mm.
that.
And I mean, maybe that's something we could do with the queer open mic. Maybe we do set up a more of a curated monthly event where people get paid. I don't know. I just don't know how it work financially or logistically. But maybe we could carry that. I mean, that's what you and I did basically with the open mic. I was saying to you,
Yeah.
I can't believe this event doesn't exist in London already. I don't understand why. It's London. It's one of the, biggest cities in the world, or, not biggest cities in the world, but, it's one of the sort of like centers of culture. And it's such a queer friendly city in many ways. Very high percentage of queer people live in London. And I couldn't understand why the event didn't happen. And now we made it happen. And I'm not saying that, to sort of aggrandize ourselves, but it's just it. You need to not wait for other people to do the things that you think are missing in society.
Well, that's similar to when I started, and with your help, London Vegan Drinks or London Vegan
Yeah,
Potluck.
yeah,
Was that when we came back to the UK after some time in Australia, and we had sort of got more involved in like vegan, wanting to organize around veganism and vegan community, we couldn't believe that there weren't events like
yeah,
that, regular
yeah.
events for vegan or vegan friendly people in London.
Mm,
And so, yeah, like, and we were talking about this last episode where we need to do things like we need to be community organizers.
yeah,
That's political. That's political activism.
yeah.
Um, just
But
talking.
yeah, go
Sorry, you
on.
go. No, you
No,
go.
as I say, I just really like that idea of like actually, yeah, like feeling empowered enough to actually make. I mean, it's so corny, isn't it? To be the change you want to see in the world, but there's an element of truth in that. Like, don't sit around waiting for someone to be voted into power to do the
Yeah.
things you want to change in society. Do them yourself. Like, organize, get together, find like-minded people. Um, and so, yeah, like that could apply in so many areas of life. But yeah,
Well,
with the queer artistry and stuff in the open mics, maybe that's something we could do. But anyway.
there's a quote that I want to read out to you
Hmm.
by Chris Rojek, who is a sociology professor at City St George's, University of London. And it's from an article in the BBC today or yesterday. And this quote is: "We live in a society that prizes freedom of choice and expression, values material wealth, and tolerates vast inequality. In such a system, casualties are inevitable."
In what
So,
such a
in
system?
such a system, casualties are inevitable.
Right. Okay.
So, it's hyper individualism, it's
Hmm.
hyper consumerism and capitalism,
Yeah,
and it's wealth inequality and wealth hoarding.
and
And
it's
so,
inherently oppressive.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so in a system like that, or multiple over intersecting systems, people are going to be oppressed.
Yeah.
Or, um, and so this is actually in a story in the BBC today, written by Nick Triggle about Manjaro
Hmm.
and about how now obesity is a wealth issue and a class divide issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's quite interesting that there was some statistics from the Office for Health Improvement and Disparities, which is a UK government um, office,
Hmm.
that said in deprived areas, 37% of the population live with obesity. And in
Hmm.
the least deprived areas of the country, it's only 19%.
Mm.
And
So
there is,
almost double.
yeah, well, no, it is, right?
No.
What's nine?
Well, it's
Yeah,
like one. It's
yeah,
1 percentage point away from
yeah.
being double.
And obviously, it's very complex why that would be. But we know
Yeah.
just anecdotally, we also know from reading and lived experience
Yeah.
that there are food deserts
Hmm.
in capitalist systems where people with less money have less access
Hmm.
to nutritiously dense food that is good for you.
Hmm.
There's also more targeted advertising around nutritiously um, what do you call it? Nutritiously,
Nutritionally balanced.
no, like the opposite.
Oh, like high calorific or
Yeah, but like food that isn't nutrient dense, like
right.
nutrient poor food. Like
Right. Okay.
there's hyper really focused advertising in poorer areas
Right. Okay.
for, I mean, what we would refer to colloquially as junk food,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're in wealthier areas with more money, the advertising tends to be more about nutrient dense, or what people would see as healthier
Yeah.
choices or more
Yeah.
health beneficial choices. So if you walk in somewhere like Waitrose, a
Hmm.
lot of what's advertised to you or pushed towards you is food that is considered to be healthier and
Yeah.
in reality is healthier and more nutrient dense
Yeah.
and lower in
And for
calories.
those outside of the UK, Waitrose, you're not gonna you will only find a Waitrose in a wealthy area.
Yeah, or if you
The
yeah, or if it might be in a mixed area, but
Yeah, but
it's going
generally,
yeah. And then if you walk into like a cheaper supermarket chain, and yeah,
hmm
apologies for people outside the UK who don't know, but there's a chain of supermarkets that are in lower socioeconomic areas here called Iceland, like the
hmm
country, but it's like called that, I suppose, because it's a frozen supermarket. Like
yeah,
everything is frozen and pre-prepared. So frozen pizzas, frozen meats,
ready
chips,
meals.
ready
Yeah,
meals, and
yeah,
so lots of biscuits and cookies and just food that is ready made
yeah,
and ready to consume, low in nutrients, high in calories,
hmm
and high in, I suppose, carbs and sugars
yeah,
and
and
fats.
fats and yeah, yeah,
And so those shops are in areas where people have less money.
hmm
So, yeah, there was an interesting, it didn't really tell me too much that I didn't know this story, but it was
hmm
interesting where they were talking about the disparity of like the obesity levels in different socioeconomic brackets. And
yeah,
then something like Manjaro or Wegovy or Ozempic or all the different name brands is becoming, is a stark, it's not the cause of it,
mm.
and it's not the only signifier, but it's just shining a light
Yeah.
on,
It's magnifying the
yeah,
disparity, isn't it? It's enhancing it,
yeah,
um, and that hopefully that will change. Well, Actually, let's go back. Let's just back up a step, because the other thing I want to say, and I was going to say this last week, but we ran out of time. But the other thing is, when you and I are talking about it, it kind of it goes without saying that we're not framing obesity as a bad thing. But if somebody's new to this podcast, or if they're just like tuning into this section of this episode, they may, it would be quite easy to construe what we're saying as, a takedown of obesity, as a demonization of obese people, which it's not at all. Like, we've spoken a lot of times about body positivity, and we've critiqued fat shaming in society and media and stuff like that. So just to sort of, put that out there as well, that, like, if the being obese is not a bad thing, um, but, and this is going off on a tangent as well, but I wanted to say the other week as well, like when Trump, I don't know, I've just said his name, when Dump um, was coming out with all this stuff about paracetamol or acetaminophen or Tylenol, whatever it's
Mhm.
called, like the whole discourse around autism, and just
Yeah.
how it was like, oh, autism was like a problem that needed to be avoided and fixed. Like the whole sort of the language used around it, I found so problematic. But we never got to discussing that. But yeah,
Yeah.
just within this discussion here, just like, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, that we need to just remind ourselves and anyone listening or watching that, yeah, like when we talk about obesity, it's not a critique of obesity. It's just it's a highlighting of the inequality within healthcare.
Yeah. Also, like with these medicines really now only being available to rich people or
Mm.
people with disposable income, it then once again shifts the blame for obesity back to poor people.
Yeah.
So it's that victim blaming kind of thing.
In the same way that, that women were being blamed for giving birth to autistic children.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, no, like that's, it's not a problem that needs to be fixed in the first place. And yeah, it's like always you're just going for the lowest hanging fruit, aren't you? You're always punching down.
So, I
Um,
mean, what do you do when, like, if somebody is middle class or wealthier, they have
mm,
access to privately buy these medicines.
hmm
So their approach to looking after themselves or their personal wellness journey is completely different to somebody who can't afford it, is living in
mm,
an area where junk food is being advertised to them. It's often the only thing that they can afford.
hmm
The foods that are sold to them and packaged and made readily available to them are much more sort of addictive in their nature
yeah,
because of the way their makeup of the
hmm
ingredients and the production. And so you've got those people then also being told they don't know how to eat smart or they don't eat right for their bodies. It is so toxic.
hmm
The situation that, I mean, this isn't new. Like we said, this has been going on for a long time. But how it's shifted. Like after the war, like what, the Second World
which
War,
one? Yeah,
the Second World War,
okay.
a lot of poor people were, there wasn't a lot of obesity. A lot of poor people were malnourished and underweight because
Yeah,
there
and
wasn't
you're
a lot of,
talking about the UK here, like you're
yeah,
talking
we're
about
talking about the UK.
people coming out of a long period
Yeah.
where food was rationed.
Yeah. But
Um,
also that would have been in a lot of countries around the world in different, like like people who didn't have a lot of money
mm,
didn't have access to calorie dense foods.
hmm
And so what's happened after that post-war period was that food manufacturers were able to make cheaper foods that were more calorie dense, but they were
hmm
nutrient deficient.
yeah,
So people were putting weight on, and society as a whole was putting weight on, but without the benefits of the nutrients
hmm
that you might get from food. So you've got a whole population or a big portion of the population now who aren't underweight, but are still malnourished.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
But
I mean,
what?
we've talked a lot about Manjaro on here. I don't know if we bore people with it, but can I show you my T-shirt again? Remember, I was wearing this last night.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Cheeky Dracula.
it's all about Mexican pop culture in my house this week. So
Do
do
you
you
know,
know
it's
who?
funny. You know how we've said on here before, like you and I never coordinate what we're going to wear.
Yeah,
But often there'll be like some weird, weird link. And look, I'm wearing my Mexican wrestling T-shirt, which I never wear. Like I just grabbed it as I was getting ready to come on the podcast today.
I think that's
It's
Blue
spooky.
Demon, Blue Demon. But
Is it Blue Demon?
so anyway, do you know who Cheeky Dracula is?
Yeah, haven't you talked about him on here before?
I think so. So this is from a kids TV show called Chiquiadas, and it was like a skit show, like a comedy skit show in Mexico, where the kids would all play sort of adult roles, but as kids, and they were often like send-ups of other famous situations. So obviously, Cheeky Dracula was like a little Dracula,
Little mini,
a
yeah.
little vampire. But this actor Carlos Espejel, who played Cheeky Dracula. So camp. You've got to watch some of the videos if you haven't seen it. Um, on one of his other skits on the show, there's a really famous adult comedy character in Mexico called Cantinflas.
Yeah,
Do you know that? Yeah. He
yeah.
did a kid's version of that called Carlinflas. It is so hilarious. Anyway, I've got this record. It's the greatest hits of the TV show of
Hmm.
Chiquiadas, right? So it's like the Disco de Oro of the TV
Okay.
show. And this is the guy who's on my shirt, Carlos, who played Cheeky Dracula. This is him as the little Cantinflas as well.
Oh, okay, yeah. And
This is,
Cantinflas is like slang for like a barfly, isn't it? Like
yes.
somebody who's
So
always drunk in a bar.
anyway, he played Cheeky
But
Dracula from like
is it
1980. What's that?
is sorry, is Hill there at the moment? I was going to ask,
No,
can you check? Because like, is Cantinflas also to do with somebody who's always singing drunk in a bar,
I don't know.
or because I wasn't sure. Anyway,
What does
it's
flas mean? Because cantina is a bar.
yeah, yeah.
So anyway, Carlos played Cheeky Dracula and maybe Cantinflas from like 1982 to 87.
Hmm.
And some of the other characters on this show are so wild. Like they had these two sisters called Patuca and Pataka, and there were
Hmm.
two Mexican indigenous sisters who would always like these two little girl actors,
Hmm.
and their skit was they would run scams on gringos and tourists, and so they
Hmm.
would be selling like homemade like trinkets in the market, and then like some other little kid actor from the show would come dressed as like a gringo tourist, and they would run scams on them and steal their money. It is so
Hilarious.
outrageous, but very, very funny. But this is a weird leap here. But one of the kids in the show, Anna E, she was a famous child actor who went on to be in Rebelde,
All
with
right.
Dulce Maria, like that
Hmm.
TV show.
Hmm.
Oh my, this is such a wild jump. But do you know that I was telling you to watch this TV show the other day on
Yeah,
Netflix,
yeah. The Dead Girls or something.
Las Muertas, the Dead
Yeah, I
Girls.
started watching it. I've watched about I think three-quarters of the first episode so far. So
Okay, so
yeah.
one of the characters in that is played by Alfonso Herrero, who was in Rebelde as well.
Hmm.
And it's got me thinking, right? Like, when is Rebelde was in like what, the 2000s? And then
Yeah.
they were like meant to be teenagers, but then there's this woman who was in this TV show that was in the 80s and early 90s. How
Mm.
old must she been? She must have been like in her 30s when she was in Rebelde. But anyway, this is a real long way around the houses to tell you this. Do you know what
Is it? I hadn't noticed.
do you know what that show is about on Netflix at
What,
Las
Las
Muertas?
Muertas?
Yeah, the
No,
Dead Girls.
not really. No,
It's based on
it's
a
based
true,
on a book, isn't it?
yeah, but the book is based on a real story.
Oh, is it?
And it's about four sisters who ran brothels and human trafficking in Mexico in the 60s. And they
Okay.
were known as, I've got it written down here, but they were written as, known as Las Poquianchis. That was the name given to the sisters in the press.
That's what?
Las Poquianchis. Uh,
Poquianchis. What's
I
that?
think when I read about that term, apparently it meant like a male homosexual prostitute, but for some reason it became the name given to these sisters. But are to believe, they don't really know exactly, but they think they killed around 150 to 200 people,
Really?
and they would steal, human traffic young women and girls from their families around Mexico with help.
Mm.
Like all the four sisters would work together, and they'd have some co-conspirators. And then when the either girls got too sick or they couldn't do it anymore or they gave them trouble, they would often kill them. They would kill some of the clients that came to their brothel, which was a ranch. It is the wildest story. So that
How are they not included in the museum of what was that museum in Mexico City? The Museum
oh
of
yeah,
Serial
serial
Killers
killers and
and
vampires.
Vampires or
Do you know
yeah.
that they could have been, but maybe we just didn't really
Yeah.
understand. And but the book about them, called Las Muertas, came out in 1977, and
Mhm.
so this Netflix thing is like a dramatization of that book.
Mhm.
But it is the wildest story. Like the show is wild enough, but then when you read about the real story, it's even more like drastic and dramatic and violent. But the show is very violent. Like I
Ah,
warn you, if you don't want to watch extremely
okay.
violent scenarios, but um, yeah, it's very wild to me. But it's so I've been on this whole Mexico culture trip this week, and so the other night I watched a really famous Mexican vampire movie
Oh,
called
which one?
El Mundo de los Vampiros,
Okay.
and it's made in
The world
1961.
of vampires.
Yeah, released in 1961.
Any
But,
good?
yeah, it was very camp, and it was
Was
quite
it set in
unusual.
Mexico City
Ye
or
Well, yeah, it sort of yes, it was filmed in Mexico City, and they were all speaking Spanish, Mexican Spanish, but they didn't really talk about where it was set.
okay.
But it was weird in that the storyline was that the main vampire was involved in a family feud that he was trying to get justice for. He was trying to hunt down and kill people that his family, his ancestors had a feud with. It was very weird, but it was very camp, very tacky, special effects. I loved it a lot. But um, I've started thinking about all of this like Mexican culture that I consume, and I still can't speak Spanish properly. Like my Spanish is so terrible. But I had this idea about how cool would it be to open up a little cinema club showing classic Mexican films
in London?
anywhere. Like, yeah, I suppose if I'm in London, if I move to Brisbane, do it in Brisbane. But
Yeah.
I think that would be a lot of fun. Like maybe just one a month,
Mhm.
and they can be like things like vampire movies. They could be uh, the famous director Luis Buñuel.
Buñuel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so be the change you want to see in the world.
Well, talking of that, as an aside, that Luis Buñuel movie, The
Which one?
Exterminating Angel,
Oh, I haven't
it's
seen that
like
one.
really famous. It's one of the most famous Mexican films. It's like a really dark satirical comedy
I've
about.
seen. What have
Is
I
about.
seen of his? I've seen Los Olvidados, I think
Uh-huh.
was one of his, and there was something else I watched of his, but I can't remember.
Well, The
So, have you
Exterminating
seen this
Angel,
one? Have you
yeah,
seen that one? Is it good?
yeah, yeah. It's very good, and it's kind of like a statement on class war. Like it's
Okay.
quite topical of what we've been talking about, but
Mm.
one of the guys, the actors who's in The Exterminating Angel, was in this vampire movie that I watched. He's a really famous um, Mexican actor. His name is Jose Baviera, and he was in more than 190 movies in his
Jeez.
lifetime. But he was in 1 year, he was in this tacky vampire movie, and in the next year, he was in this critically acclaimed best Mexican film of all time with Buñuel. Like it's
Mm.
incredible that he had that career. So anyway, I've been watching Mexican vampires. I'm listening and being obsessed with this kids TV show. I'm watching the Netflix drama about these murderous brothel owner sisters
It's all
with
very uplifting stuff.
with members of
Bede.
Rebelde.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Mexican pop culture TV show, movie, band? What do you like?
Oh, I don't know. I think film wise, I loved Y Tu Mamá También.
Hmm.
I thought that was a really, really moving, really well made film.
Yeah,
I really like Diego Luna. I think he's really good. I've seen him quite a lot. Um, TV wise, I don't know if I've watched a lot of Mexican TV
yeah.
actually. Um,
Do you know Gail? What's her name? Gail
Gael
Garcia
Garcia Bernal.
Bernal. He was also
Yeah.
in Y Tu
Y Tu
Mama
Mamá
Tambien.
También. Yeah. Yeah.
Another crossover fact that I just for some reason have in my head. The guy who was in this Las Muertas show, who was also in Rebelde,
Yeah.
Alfonso Herrera, he went to a private school in Mexico City with Gail Garcia.
Oh. Ah. Okay.
Like
Interesting.
they're like nepo babies. So another flashback.
Yeah. Um, I've got I I keep meaning to bring this to the open mic because it's London being London. Sean and I often will only see each other once a month at the open mic.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, we catch up on the podcast once a week. That's enough, I think. But
Righto, calm down, Sue.
I keep meaning to bring this book, or maybe I did give it to you. Did I give you that book, the Vampire of Colonia Roma?
I don't know.
I'll have to find it.
I don't
Anyway,
know if
it's
you
a
did or not.
little short story by I can't remember the writer's name. I'll have a look for it. But yeah, I'll keep meaning to bring it to you.
Well, Mexico is it's a quite a unique situation with culture because it's so closely aligned with the US. So there's a lot of crossover of culture, pop culture, but
Hmm.
also there are things that are so uniquely Mexico that,
Hmm.
I mean, things like these kids playing vampires and I don't know, like it just seems so kooky and uniquely Mexico.
Mm.
Um, but also, like, I know it's not just a Mexican thing, but telenovelas are so huge in Mexico. What was that book about that Australian woman who moved to Mexico City? It's a real book.
Yeah,
It's like a travel journal or a
yeah.
travel. What do you call that? A
Travelogue.
travel log or a travel book about moving to Mexico, and she accidentally got a role in a telenovela, like a soap opera.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
wild.
When I lived in Mexico, I auditioned for some like advert. Do you remember? There was
Oh.
like I went to some mansion in Polanco and I had to audition for some director. I can't remember what it was, and it was just like in a TV advert, but I had to play like a British person. Um,
Did you have to speak Spanish?
no, I had to speak in English. I had to like I'm trying to remember. Actually, I never actually followed up to see the finished version. But yeah, they were doing some advert, and it was about like people watching the Titanic leave the UK or something, and I had to like read from a newspaper and say something in English. Anyway, I didn't get the part, unfortunately.
Did they
Um,
tell you? You didn't get the party, you just didn't hear from them?
I didn't hear from them. Yeah.
Do you know once when I was studying to be a teacher and I went and did some time like doing a practical placement at a school, an English speaking school in Mexico City.
Hmm.
And it was during maybe a football World Cup or a soccer World Cup. And the local newspaper in this town where the school was, just on the outskirts of Mexico City, wanted to come and take photos of some of the people working at the school who were from different parts of the world to get them to pretend they were cheering for their country's
Oh
football
my
team in the
God.
world.
Yeah.
And they said, we need some Australians to come. And I said, look, I don't really like sport. And I also don't like nationalism.
Hmm.
So and they were like, "Oh, can you please do it for us as a favor? We don't have enough people to because Australia was in
Were
some."
you the only Australian in the
No, there was
school?
some
Or?
other people, but I think it was like two teenagers who were maybe students there and another
Oh, okay.
teacher. And so they were like, "We need you." So I went and I stood there and they said, "You need to make it look like you're cheering for the
Hmm.
football team." So I just put both of my hands in the air and I was like, like this, and then the kids beside me were screaming, and the woman next to me was holding an
What was
Australian
this for?
scarf for a local newspaper in Mexico City. And then
Well,
when
do you know
the
what? Kudos to them for like going after like the genuine, not just like faking it.
but when the
Just
newspaper came out, like in a few days or a week later, it had the picture, and it said that I say the woman's name was Melissa. It had Melissa and Sean O'Callaghan, an
oh,
Australian couple. it said it
that's
said that
hilarious.
we
So
were a married couple.
not only turned you into a nationalist sports fan, they also made you a married straight man.
We were a closeted gay man
Wow,
married to a poor woman named Melissa. And
that's
it was
hilarious.
so weird. I was just like, I don't even what can I do? Like but
False
that's out
representation.
that's out there in the universe somewhere.
Wow, amazing.
Have you ever been in the newspaper?
Yeah, when I was a kid, like, I've got a clipping somewhere, and it was like at primary school. I can't even remember what it was. It was like we made this big, like, I mean, it seemed huge when we were kids. This huge, like, table-sized model island of something. I can't even remember what it was. And there's a picture of us in the newspaper or standing around it. I was also in an episode. I've never been able to find it online. It must exist somewhere. There was a kids' TV show called Rainbow,
Mhm.
and it had like puppets, like Zippy,
Yeah.
and then it also had like just regular humans, and then it had like humans dressed in animal costumes as like bears and stuff. There was Jeffrey and Bungle and Zippy. Anyway, I was in an episode of that as a kid, but I can't find it anywhere online. So, and it was obviously pre digital age. Um,
I
that would
I
be
think
fun.
I think that out of everybody I know, I think I win the competition of being in newspapers.
Hmm.
Uh, for people who don't know, back in the 90s, I was on the front page of the paper with Janet Jackson.
As one does.
Very, very strange. But what was weird about it was that it was on the front page of the main newspaper in Brisbane, is called the Courier Mail. And it was what we'd call a broadsheet, right? Because
Hmm.
you have broadsheets which are just bigger, and then
Hmm.
tabloids which are more compact.
Hmm.
This was back in the day. It's not anymore, but it was a very big newspaper.
Hmm.
So on the front page of the paper was a photo, black and white photo of me kissing Janet Jackson on the cheek as she
Hmm.
arrived at Brisbane International Airport.
And
And
did it say Janet and Sean O'Callaghan?
it said, yeah, yes, the happy married couple, proud supporters of the Socceroos. No, but it said, cheeky fan steals a kiss from Janet. That's
Hmm.
what it said. And then it had like quotes from me, and it was big. It was like on a broadsheet newspaper. It was a big, like, I suppose about a six of the front of the page. So I
Hmm.
was going to work the next day, and it was the front page of the paper, and everybody on the train was reading this newspaper, and they were sitting there holding it up in front of them. And everywhere I
That's
looked
so
was just
funny.
my face, like cheeky fan sneaking a
Cheeky
kiss.
Dracula.
Cheeky Dracula. Um, and it was very, very strange. But then another time was when we went to see Jerry Halliwell. Actually, Jerry, her name's not Halliwell anymore, is it? Horner.
Well, it was
J-
it was then Halliwell.
Yeah, and after she left the Spice Girls, she did a solo show at a nightclub called GAY. No secrets for what went on there. And it was her first solo show after leaving. And we were down at the front of the gig, waiting for her to come on. At this venue, they didn't come on till about 2 a.m.,
Hmm.
the performers, and Jerry came down and said, "Oh, she wanted to pull someone on stage," and she looked at you, and you said, "Oh no, take him. He's a bigger fan."
Hmm.
And I got pulled on stage. I can remember being fat shamed by Jerry Halliwell as they pulled me up. She said, "Oh, he's a big one,"
Hmm.
and bizarrely, if you look at photos of me then, I'm thinner than I am now. So I don't know what she'd say about me now. Anyway, she put me on a chair and gave me a lap dance and sang to me. And then that was on the news front of all of the tabloids in the UK the next day in
Hmm.
London
Hmm.
and all around the country. And I mean, the biggest selling newspapers on the planet, like the Sun and the Daily Mail, and it
Yeah.
was wild. And it was in other like weekly magazines.
And you were at the concert, you were wearing an Ant and Dec t-shirt
I don't
and
think
didn't,
people will know who Ant and Dec are.
but we've spoken about them on this podcast before.
Yeah.
Because anyway, they were Ant and Dec, people outside of the UK. Ant and Dec are a British, I don't know, how would you describe them? They started out as actors and then they started releasing music under the name PJ and Duncan. I know, was that their character names
Yeah, their
in Biker
character's
Grove?
name in the
Okay.
soap opera they were in.
And anyway, they've now gone on to be TV presenters, and they have made a career of that.
They're
And
multi-millionaires from doing it.
but you were wearing, was it a
It was
PJ and
no,
Duncan
it was
shirt
an
or an
Ant
Ant
and
and
Dec
Dec?
shirt because they
So
did also release songs as Ant and Dec.
right,
So
okay.
this was
Didn't Ant come into the shop where you work
oh
like a
my
couple of
God,
weeks
yeah.
later, and then
I
say,
was
"Oh,
working,
thanks."
yeah. I was working in Sally Hair and Beauty in Chiswick,
That's
and
right.
it was
Yeah.
a beauty wholesale supply shop. And yeah, he came in a few weeks later, and I said, "Oh, hi." And I knew him from being an Ant and Dec super fan, embarrassingly. I have so many tragic
Well,
stories.
so yeah.
This reads like the fucking tragedy of my life, these stories. But I said to him, "Oh, hi, and I don't know if you remember me, blah." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, from Australia." I said, "Yep," because I met him in Australia. And
Yeah.
then I said, "Oh, did you see Jerry on the cover of the newspaper last week?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then he looked at me weird, and I said, "Do you see the guy was wearing that Ant and Dec shirt?" And he goes, "Yeah, we were all laughing in the office about that." And I said, "That was me." He was like, "Oh my God, that is so strange." That was
That
very
Who else did
strange.
we see at GAY? We saw Billy Piper, didn't we?
We saw Billy
Um,
Piper there, and we saw well, I don't know if you came, but I saw Five there. Did you come to see Five?
I don't know. I don't remember it, but that
Talking
doesn't
of
mean it didn't
Five, I'm
happen.
seeing them in November at
Oh,
the
really?
O2. And, who else? I saw Danny Minogue there back in 1998 when I
Yeah,
first
I didn't.
arrived in the
Yeah, that
UK.
was when
You
I
were
was still
still
in
in
Australia.
yeah. So I saw Danny there.
Hmm.
I don't know what else. I have a feeling that I saw Kavanagh there, but I don't know if I'm misremembering that. I don't
Is
know.
it disremembrance, perhaps?
It is disremembrance too.
Um,
Talking of the O2, the Lady Gaga UK tour starts tonight at the
I
time of
know.
recording. So by the time this comes out, all of her shows will be over. But can you believe what a fucking rort Ticketmaster and modern day concert ticketing is?
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
there has to be something has to be done about it because this dynamic pricing of tickets, like if there are a few tickets left and lots of people want to go, the
Mm.
tickets don't double; they like quadruple in price.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
So there
It's
were
really, truly disgusting.
like the Gaga tour, the world tour. It's like the most in demand tour in history. Like it's all sold out. I think a few days ago there were maybe 6 tickets remaining for this first London show. There are
Mm.
none now, not one single ticket, not even resale. Like there are
Hmm.
none. And there were £570 a ticket for a ticket that started at 120 or something.
It's just, I mean, it's not, but it should be criminal.
And then the CEO of Ticketmaster was on in an interview the other day saying tickets are woefully underpriced. What's the most you've paid for a gig ticket?
I think, I could be wrong, I'd have to check, but I think I'm going to see Suzanne Vega in November. It's sometime this year. I think it must be November. She's playing at the Royal Albert Hall. And I think I ended up paying 100 and, I don't know, like £120 maybe, because I was going to get a ticket. And I think when I bought the ticket, I'd just been to see Brandy Carlisle at the Royal Albert Hall, and I enjoyed the show, but we
Yeah,
were like so high up, like we were in a
yeah,
real nosebleed seats. And and I was like, I'd rather, I want to see her close up. And
yeah,
so there was an option to get within the first like 20 rows or something. And then it was about £15 more to get within the first 10 rows. and I think I get to go into the sound check as well. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do that.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that might be the most expensive. I'm trying to think what
Isn't
else.
it wild when you see old concert stubs or concert tickets on social media where people were
Yeah,
seeing, I don't know, like the Smiths back in the 80s and it was like £8.50 or
yeah, yeah,
£3.90. And
yeah.
I can remember the first time, this ties in with the story of me being on the front page of the paper. I can remember
Mm,
when Janet Jackson toured and that on that tour where I kissed her at the airport.
hmm.
Uh, it was, I think it was 50 Australian dollars,
Right.
which in today's money is, well, I mean, that turns out to be like £25 or
Yeah,
something,
it's
right?
nothing. Yeah,
Then we were scandalized. I remember us going, "Oh my god, like 50 Australian dollars to see a band."
yeah.
Then when Madonna toured a year or 2 later in Australia for the first time ever, it was $100. So it was
Hmm.
double the one that we had been shocked by.
Yeah.
And then that now would seem
Oh,
like
yeah.
nothing. Like,
$100 to see
yeah,
Australian dollars to see Madonna is a fucking bargain. Yeah,
yeah.
like it. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
think it was like when she last toured there, it was like 1,000 or something, or
yeah,
like,
probably,
close to 1,000.
probably.
And but yeah, the dynamic pricing is such a rort, and no matter what they do, the tickets are always bought by bots and scammers.
Yeah.
Like, you'll go on like a stadium of or an arena of 20,000 people will be sold out in a quarter of a second.
Hmm.
Like, it's this and there's a lot of these ticket companies or some of these ticket companies, sorry, I don't wanna, practice, hyperbole, but some of these reselling sites are owned or part owned by Ticketmaster.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. Just talking of Brandy Carlisle, I don't know if I told you yesterday at the open mic or not, but I'm really excited. I got on Saturday the tickets went on sale for a tiny acoustic show she's doing at Heaven nightclub
Mhm.
this Thursday night, and I managed to get a ticket for that. I'm really excited. It was through Dice FM or something,
Oh,
so
yeah,
I
Dice,
don't,
yeah.
you
I
know,
use
that
Dice a lot. Like, the
I
last few
think
times
they.
I've seen Ash, I've bought my tickets
Oh
through.
yeah, but yeah, I'm very excited to see Brandy in a tiny venue like that because
But Dice,
I've only ever seen her at the Royal Albert Hall and also at Hyde Park when she opened for Stevie Nicks. So,
how much
uh,
was the ticket?
and it was £20.
Okay.
Yeah, so
And do you think it's like a showcase or
yeah, it's an acoustic showcase and a Q&A. So I can submit a question to her. So I mean, I was going to say if any viewers have got questions to submit, but the show will have been and gone by the time this actually is released, this episode. But
yeah.
yeah, I'm excited
We,
about that. And there's something else I was just going to mention as well. I can't remember what it was. Oh, it's just about the news about Dolly Parton. Did you see the news this morning?
that
Um,
she's suspended her tour,
she
postponed
was
her
due to do
Vegas
her
shows.
residency at in Las Vegas, and she's postponed it for health reasons. So I'm sad to hear that, and I hope that it's nothing too
Well, it is
serious.
sad, and because she's such a workaholic,
Mm,
it makes you think, "Oh, it must be serious," because she isn't somebody. I mean, she's always working.
yeah,
She's got a perfume out or a cookbook out or
yeah,
baking products or
wine.
shoes, wine, kids' books. She's got her library, her kids' library, like music, like hundreds of albums. Like, she
Hmm.
never stops. And
Yeah,
to cancel like a residency in Vegas, which would probably mean a lot to a performer like her.
yeah.
Um, What's so the Dice app that you
Hmm.
bought your tickets through, is that the first time you've used it?
Well, no, it mustn't have been because when it asked me to sign in, I had credentials in my phone already, so I must have used it for something else. And maybe I used it to buy those tickets to see Ash, that gig we went to.
Well, yeah, all right. Maybe I sent you a because you can transfer tickets very easily through Dice.
Oh yeah, maybe.
The first time I ever used it, I think, was 5 years ago. I bought tickets
Mm-hmm.
to see Orville Peck,
Mm-hmm.
in London, and then Ash was 4 years ago. 'Cause
Mm-hmm.
if you scroll back, it shows you all the tickets you've ever bought.
Oh right.
I've got tickets in there for Rina Sawayama,
Oh yeah.
Yumi Zuma, that, New Zealand band, Kim Gordon, Rena again, Let's Eat Grandma, Big Joni, Shonen Knife, Charlie Bliss. Yeah, it's interesting. I
What's
like
Rina Sawayama doing these days? I haven't heard anything
I don't
from
know,
her.
she's fallen off a bit. Like,
Has she?
yeah, people didn't love the last the other album she brought out, people were like, not into it, and
Okay.
she kind of fell off. And then she had like a bit of a public spat with Matty Healy, or whatever his name is,
Uh,
from the
yeah.
1975.
5. Yeah.
She said disparaging things about him, and she was on his record label, and so
Oh,
I think
okay.
there's been a little bit of uh,
Bit of
issues there.
argy-bargy.
And, yeah, people didn't dig her album, and the weird thing is, right, her first album, well, she had, like, an EP thing that she didn't count as an album, and her first proper album was incredible, really amazing. We went to see her in,
Mm.
concert at the
I
Roundhouse.
didn't like it. I didn't like it that much, to be honest.
Well,
But
then the one that came after that, and I was, like, a Rena super fan, you know, I was like, "Oh, I'm really into this." I went to see her in concert.
mm,
I've listened to that the next album that came out, I think I've listened to it maybe 3 times.
oh, okay.
I just couldn't get into it. I was like, "No, that's
Mm,
not for me." And it's sad because I was really into it, and she was getting a lot of traction, you know, she was
mhm,
getting a lot of, attention, she was sort of touted as the next big pop star.
mm.
Um, how wild is
I
that Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars song has just crossed 3 billion streams on Spotify,
okay.
and it's the fastest song on Spotify history to reach 3 billion
Mm,
streams. And did
wild.
I tell you about how it's all of the metrics that measure how big a song is? It is the 3rd biggest selling song in history when
But
you
it's
measure everything.
what's so weird about it, though, is that it's not her best song. It's probably not his best song either, and
No, but it's both of their
it's
biggest selling song, yeah.
yeah, it's
But
weird.
the
But no, I was just gonna say, but with the Dolly thing, Anna, our friend Sue slash Anna, is coming to London this weekend, and part of our plan is to go over the details of our trip to Dollywood next year. So um, I'm hoping Dolly holds out because I think it would be, I mean, obviously I don't want Dolly to die, but I know she will within the
Yeah.
next whatever X number of years. She's 79 years old, so.
How far ahead in advance do you have to book a ticket for Dollywood?
Well, for the theme park itself, I don't think you need to book that far. Like, I think 4 or 5 months ahead of time is
Well, can I
fine.
say something morbid?
Mm.
That if something does happen to Dolly, and I don't want it to,
Mm.
you might have to book, because then there'll be like a
You think there'll be
stampede.
like there'll be a 3-year period of tribute trips to
Yes, yeah,
Dollywood?
you won't be able to get in there.
Yeah, that's really true, actually. Oh
So
God, I don't want to, but you're right. Yeah, yeah.
and I know
Um,
that's morbid, and because we don't want anything to happen to Dolly, like, I would be happy if there was a deal with the universe where Dolly was the only person that lived forever,
gets to live forever. I know,
or
right?
at least lived until I'm gone, so I don't have to know about it, because
Yeah,
I mean, she's so amazing. I love her so
yeah. I
much.
don't want to contemplate a world without Dolly in it.
Just remember when we saw her in Leeds, at Leeds Arena,
Yeah.
and the sound went out, but the band didn't know because all of their, playback amps on stage were still
And their in-ear monitors were still going, yeah.
going,
But
and so they
Dolly's,
played the whole song, and then somebody told her, "Hey."
and it was the song Jolene, um, that the
Yeah,
sound went out, and
yeah,
so yeah, people didn't hear it.
and then she said, "Oh, I wondered why nobody was singing or being excited. That's, like, my biggest song." And she was
Yeah,
like, "We're gonna do it again." And, like,
yeah,
she did repeated the song. Oh,
yeah,
she was so good, and she just sounds amazing.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
that is an artist who fucking knows their talents, their voice, their
yeah,
capabilities, you know, what
yeah,
they're able to do, and
yeah,
just does it to perfection every time.
yeah.
She does just fucking churn stuff out, though. I mean, she just never stops. Every other day, like, I
Well,
saw her I
last
saw
night, my friend Blake gave at the open mic. He gave me. I don't have them to hand, but he gave me like a little Dolly drink holder, cooler, warmer, like stubby holder, we would call it in
yeah,
Australia. But and he gave me a set of Dolly coasters,
I,
um, and they were, but actually neither of them were official. I think they were both from like the
um
Dollar Tree or whatever.
but, um, yeah, I saw a duet a few months ago of her with Sabrina Carpenter, doing a cover of one of Sabrina Carpenter's
Oh
songs.
yeah, Yeah.
And then she was with some other Christian vocal band, and then she was with some doo-woppy sort of band. Like, this is all the time, nonstop.
Yeah.
Do you know,
Yeah.
at the top of this when we were talking about the queer open mic,
Mm-hmm.
and I held up this card about, Bren, the
Then,
singer
yeah.
who we saw. He was saying to me last night that he thought you had an Australian accent.
Oh,
Talk
really? Okay.
Yeah,
That's funny.
and,
I, yeah. I think I still sometimes, especially when I'm editing this podcast, I'll sometimes hear myself say something and I'm like, yeah, I do still have a bit of an Aussie twang in just certain words or phrases or the phrasing of something.
like when you say "no wuckers."
No workers, mate. But particularly when I'm talking to you, though, I think, and when I talk to other Australians, like at work, I often talk to Australians, and I will notice just a slight change in like the way my sentence might go up at the end, that sort of thing. It's a very infectious accent
Who's the most famous Australian you've ever met?
that I've met.
Yeah,
Mm, who have I met? Which famous Australians have I met? I'm
I
trying to
don't know.
think.
Any movie stars, singers?
Um,
Have you met Kylie?
I've not met Kylie. I've been in the same room as Kylie several times, but never spoken to her.
On the same
Um,
stage as Kylie? You're a backing
no,
dancer.
no. But trying to think. I mean,
Oh, you've met Danny.
oh yeah, Danny. Maybe Danny's the most famous Australian I've ever met.
Would she be? I mean, I've met
What other Australians have I
well,
met? I
this is
mean,
vile,
Kate.
isn't it?
Kate,
Because
what's her name from Home and Away? Chris Walker, rugby player.
I've met Kylie and Danny, so I have to then say, well, who's more famous and
Have
be
you met
vi
Brendan though?
no, or
Have you met Carol?
Carol or, what's his
I
name?
don't know
What's
what
your dad's
her
name?
dad's name is. No, I don't know.
Uh,
Um,
I've met Toni Collette. Is
yes.
Toni Collette more famous than Kylie Minogue?
No, no.
Who is the most famous Australian living?
Kylie, no? Wouldn't it be
Nicole
Kylie?
Kidman?
Oh, Nicole,
Who's more
maybe.
famous though? Do more people know who Nicole Kidman is, or do more people
Mm.
know who Kylie is?
Oh, I don't know. I
And
think it
how
might be about neck and neck.
neck and neck. Who's I was
It's
gonna
a
say
horrible.
something
That's a
vile.
really horrible, like, horse racing analogy, isn't
Yeah,
it?
or
Yeah,
dog racing or horse racing.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I suppose with dogs it'd be nose and nose. Don't they judge it by noses?
I don't know. I've not heard that one.
So I mean, you've got people like Hugh Jackman, Nicole Kidman. I mean, they're really famous.
Hmm.
But there's something about Kylie. I don't know. She must be the most famous, right?
I would say, I would say, I don't know. I think Kylie just edges out slightly above Nicole. I mean,
Okay.
Nicole is more prolific. I mean, Nicole Kidman is in everything, like
I know,
every fucking thing.
but Kylie has been releasing music and starring in movies since like 19. Well, I mean, she's been in TV
Yeah,
shows since she was a
since like
kid.
1984 or something. Yeah,
Yeah. So she releases music every couple of years without fail. And she,
yeah.
like, she's touring and like, she must be the most famous. And what do we mean by famous? Like the most well known? Like,
Well, yeah, isn't.
well, no, because somebody might be seen in a movie that's seen by more people, but people don't realize who that person is. Do you know what I
Oh, well,
mean?
yeah. I mean, that's an impossible metric to try and establish. But yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, more people would know Kylie, I think. But then, if you think about how prolific Nicole Kidman has been, especially in the last few years, like the amount of series she's been in, on
Yeah.
Netflix, whatever. Um, so many people would have seen Nicole Kidman, even if they weren't that like aware of who she was or what her history was.
If anybody
Um,
is still listening at this stage, please sound off in the
at the one
comments.
hour and 4 minute mark.
Please sound off. Who do you think
Nick,
is
are
the
you
most
Team Nicole or Team Kylie?
who do you think is the most famous living Australian? Who's the most famous dead Australian as well? Tell us. I mean, Steve Irwin was pretty famous.
Yeah,
Michael Hutchence, Dame Edna Everage.
Yeah.
Barry Humphries as Dame Edna might be one of the most famous Australians of all time.
Not in young people would have no idea who we were talking about. Like,
No.
people under the age of, like, 25 would probably have no idea who Barry Humphries or Dame Edna Everage were.
Well, if you're under 25 and you're listening to this, part A is get a life, get outside, get some sunshine, or
No,
part
part
B,
A is be the change you want to see in the world.
start a Mexican film club and invite
Start
me
a queer
along.
open mic.
Start a vampire film club and invite me along. Yeah, let us know who you think is A, the most famous living Australian, and B, the most famous Australian of all time. They could be living or dead.
Hmm. I mean, who would
Because
some
then you
contenders be?
because then you go back to people like Errol Flynn, who is extremely famous Hollywood actor in the silent or the black and
Olivia
white era.
Newton-John. Was she Australian though?
Well, she was born in the UK, but she was Australian
Yeah.
citizen. But so
Okay.
she was
The
she was
Bee Gees. I
considered.
mean, the Bee Gees were very.
They were also born in the UK, weren't
I
they?
know, but they were Australian citizens as
So
well.
you've got Bee Gees, Olivia Newton-John, Kylie. I mean, Michael Hutchence from INXS, probably not as famous as those first people we mentioned, but he was
In
pretty
our
famous.
generation, then he's well known, but
And then also, if you look at number of records sold, like a band like AC/DC
mm,
are fucking huge. Like one of the biggest selling bands, like I think Back in Black, is that what it's called?
yeah,
It's like in the list of biggest selling albums of all time.
right,
So yeah, I would like to know
yeah,
what people think. Who are the most famous Australians, living or dead? And I'm sure we've asked this before. We've episode 64 or whatever we're on. We're kind of repeating ourselves.
yeah.
Um, uh,
Everything comes back in the end.
so are you going to watch this Mexican TV show on?
Yeah, if I can fit it into my viewing schedule. Because I also randomly started watching something else, funnily enough, with Toni Collette.
Oh yeah,
And I can't remember what it's called now.
I
Like,
saw an ad for that while I was watching this Mexican
it's
show.
about like it's set in the US, well, Canada and the US, and it's about like a correctional facility
Yeah,
for wayward teens. Maybe it's called Wayward.
I saw
Or
a clip
Wildwood.
on social media the other day. I saw a clip from her from what's that scary movie she did
Which
with
one?
the recent, where her they're all about demonic possession and stuff.
Heretic?
Hereditary.
Hereditary. Yeah, Hereditary.
And I saw that clip where she's screaming at her teenage son at
Oh,
the
yeah.
dinner table. It is such a good scene. Like how she didn't win an Academy Award for that role. She was so good in it. I mean, I didn't love the movie. I thought it was okay, but she was
Hmm.
so sensational. She's such an incredible actor.
I love her. And I watched a movie with her recently as well called Juror Number 2. And she was really good in that as well. Like
Rural Juror.
Rural Juror. She was so good in that.
Oh, one thing that I meant to talk to you about, TV shows. Did you ever like The Office?
Not
Like
really.
the UK or the US one?
Not really. I never watched the US one. I wasn't that big on the UK one.
Here's
I mean,
something else.
there was some very comedic elements to it,
Yeah.
but
Well, here's something to
overall,
consider adding to your intense watching schedule. One of the guys from this Netflix show about these murderous brothel owning sisters, one of the side characters, the actor plays the lead role in the newly released Mexican version of The Office. How many
there's a Mexican
versions?
version
I
of The
think there's an
Office?
Australian version as well, isn't there?
Really?
Yeah,
I've not
they've
heard of
made
it.
it in
But...
lots of different countries. So anyway,
Wow. Okay. Well, that will keep me occupied on the long winter nights ahead of us.
oh, they're creeping in, Sue. They're creeping in.
They are. Well, let's wrap up. Are we not? We're not going to do our usual end of episode wrap up, are we? We've
We're not
decided.
doing our usual wrap up. We're doing our usual talking about not doing a usual wrap up.
Right. We're doing the wrap up preamble.
Well, I suppose it's just like we could say things like, if you want to find out more about us, the links are in the show notes. But I suppose the most important thing we should really say, and we should say it at the top of the episode, is please like, subscribe, and
comment. We love the
Comment.
comments, even when they're just trolling comments, or potentially just bot comments. We love it. So come at us, bots. Send us your hate-filled comments.
Come at me, bro. Was that a Jersey Shore saying?
I think so.
Come at me, bro.
Come at me, bro. Or was it Australian?
I don't know. I think it might have just been popular in Australia. Come at me,
Maybe,
bro.
maybe.
Or that
Um,
other famous Australian one from, was it in Big Brother? Game On Mole.
Game on, Mole. Um, anyway, click on the links in the show notes if you want to find out more about what Sean and I get up to when we're not doing the podcast. We'll put some links in there as well to some of the things we've mentioned. I might try and dig out that photo of you kissing Janet and post that somewhere so people can see that. Otherwise, subscribe and everyone keep Dolly in your thoughts. Thoughts and prayers for Dolly. And
yeah, fears for Tiny April.
All right, and be the change you want to see in the world, and go from strength to strength.
Okay, game on,
folks. See you next week.
See you. Bye.